Guys, the Elite Playbook is playing out perfectly just as planned, but you need to be very concerned. We're going to dive right into this video.
Trade Genius.
Okay, Bob, it's not like it hasn't happened before, but it's happening again, and I don't think people are really seeing the impact of what's going on here.
You've been lied to for the last 80 years, Phil. The Fed tells you they have a 2%, inflation target, but they don't even hit it 65% of the time. And the actual inflation rate over the last 80 years is 3.5%. So they can't even hit the target they even tell you to hit. And remember, the reason why they do this, Phil, is that obviously they want to dilute the debt. But the other thing, too, is they want to manage your expectations. Because every year, if you're making a little bit more money, you don't feel like you have to go out there and rape and pillage the countryside. You're saying, hey, we're making more money. Government's taking care of us. But on the back end, it all goes out the back door because inflation's higher than your wage growth. But something weird happened in 2020 called COVID response. And the COVID response was basically they know they needed to get inflation rate up higher because they have to dilute the debt because they know that the country will go bankrupt. Not just the United States. We can't go bankrupt, but everybody that's not a reserve currency can. And this is what happened, Phil.
Crazy.
17.6% inflation rate of growth in aggregate 20 to 23. And that's why everybody's feeling the pain. But the other thing, Phil, which is even weirder, is that, people say, hey, inflation's going up, but we're making more money. They're paying $20 an hour now for burger flipper, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's look at the data. Here's wage growth. Okay, wage growth is probably half that from 20 to 23. So you're falling behind. And here's the other thing. If you're on fixed income, you're definitely falling behind.
Yep.
Because the cost of things that you need as an older person, the inflation mix is decidedly against you. And, and what I always worry about, and I think the group I worry about the most is the 55 to 65-year-olds because they don't have another backup plan and they're just getting ground to death and they're the ones that are going to lose their jobs in the next downturn because they're the most expensive wage earners. So I want to throw this at you. This is basically boiling a frog and lying to you and telling you that they're succeeding when you and I, if this was our test score would be 35%. I think that's an F. I think we'd be kicked out of college. And this is 2,000 PhDs telling you that they're doing a great job.
Yeah, over and over again. I mean, we go through these waves, like you've mentioned before, where we have these inflationary spikes. And ultimately, I just think it's just once we got away from gold back standard on stuff, you just turn into worthless paper and then your debt runs up. And so how do you get rid of your debt? You inflate it away. And so you do it in waves. And here we go again. And, they love to champion getting back to the year over year inflation, getting back to 2%. But what about that spike? Well, you never hear about aggregate inflation, right? You never hear that in a Fed presser.
Hey, buddy, it's Bob with Trade Genius. Hey, it is holiday season and our holiday specials are running right now. Just promo code HOLIDAY. You already blew it. You missed the Black Friday specials, but this is your second chance to take advantage of some of the best pricing that we do for the year. Check us out, tradelikeagenius.com, tradegenius.co, tradegeniusacademy.com. All roads lead to Trade Genius. Check us out. Incredible deals. Thanks for listening.
You never hear that in the economic headlines, but aggregated inflation is really what matters because that's what you and I are stuck with. Meanwhile, most people, especially in the middle of their careers, is dealing with wage growth that isn't anywhere near where it needs to be to keep up with that. So it's like you mentioned, it's kind of like the carrot, right, on the stick. You're making more money, but you're not making as much as you should be to keep up. And then we see things like, full-time employment is dropping off, but second and third job openings or job holders is growing and it's skewing the job picture. But in reality, it's people picking up extra work, trying to stay ahead. And so you have this illusion, yeah, you are making more, but you're not making as much as you should be. And so it's just another way of keeping the masses busy, concerned about paying the bills, thinking they're making more, but you're inflating the debt away. And it's a playbook as old as money, right? And at some point when empires, their debt gets too big, you have a couple of options, but primarily they look to inflate debt away.
Yeah, and they're not going to change anytime soon. I'd love somebody to bring that chart up at a Fed meeting saying, hey, when's this going back to zero?
Right.
It never will.
No.
But, the problem is it gets forced. That's where the deflation comes in. Like depressions come. These systems are geometric, but geometric systems, they can't sustain because you don't have the cash flows to support, the asset growth and the wage of the costs, and then you get these whooshes, you know, and then they like that because then they can blame another event on it and say, okay, now we even need more control to drive this. But eventually you get to the point where, and there's another chart, I don't know if we showed it, maybe we'll show it next week, where basically the government is just slowly strangling the economy, being a higher and higher percentage of the spending that's happening. You know, we always laugh about socialist Europe, but the United States, if you count all our transfer payments, we're right up there. So, you know, it's just a different way it's being communicated to you. But yeah, we are definitely knee deep in socialism right now. And you can feel it because growth has essentially collapsed. Other than, you know, if you take out inflation, we have negative growth.
Yeah. And how you know you're in a Ponzi is when it starts to go out of control in any type of deflationary window. Most recent one was, 2008 to 2009, right? We had actually negative year over year inflation, but think about what happened in the market. The S&P 500 went to triple digits. And so it gets out of control really quickly. And that's how you know you're just in a Ponzi regime. And the other thing too is, being that that's the case, you have to make sure that you're outpacing inflation in your investments. And really one measure of that, I think an important measure of that, is the Fed balance sheet, because ultimately what this means is the Fed balance sheet, although they will try to fight it and have periods where they try to reduce it, will ultimately always keep going up higher and higher, because that's going to be what really saves this thing from really just imploding. And I think that's going to be the case until, it does implode. So you have to kind of outpace the Fed balance sheet. So we're curious what you guys think is a good investment for that. Or if you're not sure and you'd like us to cover some investment ideas that does outperform the Fed balance sheet, i.e. the inflation rate, let us know in your comments below. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, smash that notification bell, and check out our specials over at tradegenius.co if you'd like to get into the room and interact with us. We'd be more than happy to see you in there. Take care, guys.
Trade Genius.